You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast presents A Farewell to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That's right, VKM is out. The McMahon-Helmsley era, take 2, begins. I can't wait to see what happens in the WWE. Oh boy, this could be just a new era of wonderful, wonderful things happening in the Fed. Oh, man, there's so much optimism. I haven't felt this good about WWE in such a long time. Let's go ahead and talk about it, shall we? Poot the Bard is here. Tiger Bomb Tom is here. And since this episode is being recorded before SummerSlam, but being released after SummerSlam, I don't know what to do here. So I'm just going to say, Ransom the Madman, that's me. I'm here. Beef the Legend, he is also here. You know who the Cruiserweight Champion is. We don't. So let that be a surprise to us. Keep a weather eye on the horizon, for the belt could go anywhere. Boys, this is just...
so sad.
Don't count it out yet. It's fine. This is it's all fine. But listen, speaking of things being fine, good Lord, I have never been so happy to be so wrong about my prediction of what Vince McMahon was going to do, because he has officially resigned as chairman and CEO, and he's officially retired from creative. Vincent Kennedy McMahon is gone from the WWE, something I never thought in my lifetime I would see. I was convinced this crazy old coot would outlast me in life. He still might. But more importantly, I thought he was going to reign supreme over the WWE long after I departed this mortal coil. However, that did not come to pass.
I never thought I'd live to see the day where he, and I use this with quotations, voluntarily was out of the WWE. I thought either he, like many people, I thought he would die in the gorilla position. That's
not a sex thing for anybody out there.
Good Lord.
Yes. Woo.
Yeah, true. But I mean, let me just say it right now. Despite the negative, glaring things that have come to light as of over the last couple of months here, as always, I will give credit where credit's due. I don't think a lot of the modern world of wrestling would be where we're at right now if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. So, he's done a lot. Unfortunately, then you have to kind of make your own decision of whether or not the good that he did outweighs the bad that we know about.
No, stop it. This is not going to be a thank you, Vince McMahon podcast. We have spent, first off.
Here we go.
We have spent 3 years saying we can't wait
Mind
for this
your fucking
fucker
heart blood beef
to run away and get the fuck out of wrestling so that Triple H could take over. I need to breathe. First
Take
of
a breath.
all, okay?
It's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
Second of all, while we're at it, why don't we just thank Jerry Sandusky for all the amazing work he did at Penn State, for all that great philanthropy he did? Oh,
Right.
wait, because he's a kitty diddler. I'm not saying McMahon's a kitty diddler. I'm saying that McMahon is a man who forced himself upon women and then paid them lots of money to shut up about it. People will say, how do you know? It may have been consensual. Yeah, because women that look like models always come on the geriatric old men. Right. Gotcha. Consensual. Wink,
Sugar
wink.
daddies.
Nudge, nudge. Oh, yeah, okay. Listen, here's the thing.
I'm just playing
man.
devil's advocate just to get beef
No,
rised up.
There
right
is
now.
no devil's advocate. If you have uttered the words, "Thank you, Vince McMahon, for X, Y, or get out."
Did I say
Stop
those words?
listening. I'm not saying you did. I'm saying if you're listening and you said it, get out. Stop listening. Go find another podcast. I'm sure Busted Open might have some kind words. Maybe Old Corny will say a nice word or two. Not being the
Jesus
legend,
Christ.
because the man is a fucking whoremonger. The man's an asshole. Clearly, the man couldn't keep his dick in his pants. Used company money. Very likely, it's not proven yet, but there's 14 point whatever million that's misappropriated that they can't find.
14.6.
The dude clearly had some shady fucking activities, all right? No. All right? Vince McMahon, here's the truth of it. Here's the real fucking story. I feel like I should be like smoking a cigarette. Here's the real fucking story, kid.
Calm down, Alex Jones. Breathe.
J.
Yeah,
Jonah Jameson reporting.
he changed the wrestling world.
That's all I was trying to say.
I will not begrudge you that. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, he took the wrestling world from territorial to whatever
Entertainment.
sports entertainment
now
to a
forever.
worldwide cocksuckery. Good for Vince.
What?
The good, and you were making this point before I so rudely busted in like the Hulk.
Yeah.
The good
Brother.
does not outweigh the bad.
I never said that it did. I said that's for each individual to decide.
I'm making the decision for them because they're too dumb.
No. Okay,
Ultimately, look, I think we can all agree here
Jesus.
that at the end of the day, it is most fitting to say Vince screwed Vince.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I will
I
absolutely give you that.
He coined the phrase Brett screwed Brett somewhere in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Since the beginning of all this started, Bret the Hitman Hart has not stopped grinning ear to ear, because turnabout is fair play, and it'll be on Bret Hart's tombstone. I was right. Vince screwed Vince. I have no doubt in my mind that we would not be having this conversation today if Vince would have stuck with putting his peep in Linda and leaving it at that. Then Vince McMahon would have died at Gorilla, or in the ring, or on the way to the ring, because let's face it, he's not the most athletic fella in the world. But we would not be where we are right now had Vince remained in a monogamous relationship with Linda McMahon.
Yeah. And
Well,
before beef gets it all twisted or anything like that, the point that I was making was I'm definitely happy that he's out of here. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, we've spent the last 3 years saying, oh my God, we can't wait for Vince to get ousted and Triple H take over, because we can see from Triple H's work with NXT, his, from the very beginnings of it, and cultivating it to the height of the black and gold era before it got a fucking tie-dye fucking
tie-dye hand job.
Yeah, tie-dye hand job from fucking old Bruce Pritchard and Vince. We could see Triple H's involvement in cultivating new talent. That it was there. He's got a mind for the business. I'm happy. I'm thrilled to see Triple H take over. Fuck, I might actually start trying to catch the weeklies again on replays on Hulu and shit now. So I'm happy.
Sleeping in the microphone.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm definitely happy.
Beef's so wound up. He's
one of the.
But Poot, you were starting to say something, so I'd like to hear what you had to say.
I'm just saying I understand why there are people in the business that are saying thank you, Vince. But the
because he
problem
gave them
is,
an opportunity.
but the problem is, they're saying it. They're saying it at a time that's not appropriate, because I remember the same people did that with Jopa and stuff like it. It's to me, the people that were like close to Vince, that worked with Vince, I get it, but like, you really should be a little more tactful. That kind of talk, and this is going to sound wildly morbid, that kind of talk is for when that man dies. That kind of talk about how he changed the wrestling world and he did this and he did that, that's for when he dies. This right now, the reason that he retired, the reason he left, is not because he decided, well, time to put myself out to pasture, I've done enough. He was
forced out.
He had to. The end. Like, it was I had to. He had to retire. Like,
he was backed into a corner.
He was backed into a corner, and he had no other options. Like, this is not a sending off. This is not a Viking funeral. We are not going to fire arrows and honor him and light his fucking just that's not how this is working. How this is working is that he is a sad old fucking shell of a man who did a lot of lecherous things and had to leave the business, because if he didn't, it would have been even more of a shitstorm. Now he can disappear into the ether for the most part, and he can just do his thing, and that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end. Like, yeah, we're going to hear about what comes out, where that money was spent, all these other things. Like, yeah, it's going to be in the like wrestling zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But like, Vince McMahon as a person, I think people are going to see how well that WWE is doing without him. And I think that it's going to be an incredibly good thing. I think it's going to be a good thing for WWE. I think it's going to be a good thing for wrestling as a whole. And I think this is something that was a long fucking time coming. It just took something cataclysmic like Vince McMahon fucking around and finding out.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, the fact is, like, we haven't seen Vince as really as like an on-screen character regularly for a long time. So it's like, you know, he's been behind the scenes for forever now. So I don't think it's like a matter of people are like real, like the casual fan or anybody like that is going to be like, oh my God, I miss Vince because, you know, I don't ever see it. Well, no, you haven't seen him on camera like forever, except for the last couple of times where he's come out for every once in a blue moon, or the stuff that he was doing with Theory. Like, but that was all like, whatever. In general, like over the last, you know, say 5-10 years, we haven't really seen him regularly, you know, out in the ring, doing a whole lot of stuff. So I don't think that I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of negative backlash or anything like that. And people are like, oh, you know, it's not the same. It's not the same. No, well, if anything, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be better. I think creatively, because I would like to think that Triple H is not going to make, you know, some of the same mistakes that he's seen Vince making with misusing talent and things like that. I really, really hope. This was something that I was kind of leading towards last episode, was that I think you're going to start to see a lot of the mid-card to upper mid-card talent getting utilized a hell of a lot better and not just floundering. Guys like we were talking about him earlier, guys like a Finn Balor, a Shinsuke Nakamura, even a Baron Corbin. I think you're going to start to see some better use of this talent. I hope. I really, really hope. but yeah, I'm looking forward to the Triple H creative run in WWE here, and I don't know, I don't know how much, or he's not really involved in NXT at all anymore, is he? Triple H, that is.
I don't believe
Yes,
so.
we'll
I have
see.
no idea.
I think before the Vince McMahon exit, I think he just came back, and he basically told talent in Orlando, "Hey, I'm back." And then Vince McMahon left, and he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll just do all the jobs then."
So from my understanding, the last I heard, NXT or NXT 2.0, fucking whatever you want to call it now, is pretty much being run by Sean and I'm guessing Bruce down there, Bruce Pritchard. Is that what I'm?
Not anymore.
I don't think Bruce Pritchard's long for the WWE world.
Nope.
Well, okay. I mean, but he's still there at the moment, as we're speaking. Like he's still in the company. He hasn't left yet, right?
Right.
As far as we know,
Okay.
And
because we know Johnny Ace is gone, right?
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Laurinaitis is gone.
100%.
Kevin Dunn. I heard Kevin Dunn was either gone or he's
Will
he's
be
gonna
soon.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another Vince McMahon lackey. Dunn
Yeah, man.
is out.
Johnny Ace, fucking Kevin Dunn, and Bruce Pritchard, like the triumvirate of bootlickers. Get them out.
Yeah.
So they'll be gone. I can only assume, and I don't know who else. Like I can only assume once Pritchard leaves and once Dunn leaves, because I mean, let's face it, I really don't think either one of those two are going to be long for the WWE world. They were all McMahon lackeys, like Beef said. So whether they're forced out or they just go like, oof, I'm going to go on my own terms because the writing's on the wall. I think Triple H is going to have his hands full covering Raw and SmackDown creative. I would assume NXT creative will be turned over in full to HBK as long as HBK wants it, because it just seems like it would be way too much for Triple H to do all three and to do it as well as he would want to do it.
Right.
Like I think Vince was power hungry enough to go like, that's not gonna do it all.
Well, yeah, that's all fucking Vince did. I mean,
yeah, but I think Triple H knows, like, okay, I'm going to handle these two. Sean knows what he's doing. He's going to handle this. And everything's going to be great. So I would assume that that's what's going to wind up happening.
I'd like to think that too. And again, with going back to, Triple H's mind for the business, I mean, he was the one that pitched basically what would become NXT for I don't know how long before before they actually got it up and running. Like, if it wasn't for Triple H, we might not have the Performance Center in the first place. He was the one that
I don't think we would.
Right. Again, I've referenced this before, and I always will because I think it's a really good read, even for people that aren't big readers. But if you're a wrestling fan, read the book NXT: The Future Is Now, and it goes in and it talks about how that all came to fruition. I mean, it goes through like the Florida Championship Wrestling, then turning into the NXT kind of like game show more or less, and then it morphing into the NXT Black and Gold that we knew and loved so dearly. But again, Triple H was the one that said, what are we doing to cultivate new talent? So I feel like if there's a void in staffing for creative or something like that, Triple H is definitely going to be on the ball being like, okay, you know what? Like we need to plug these holes. And I mean, he's, I'm sure he could reach out to Road Dogg again or something like that. I
would not be shocked to see Road Dogg come back.
Yeah,
I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see a legit. This is where I think we start to see a bidding war, because there were many NXT talents where Triple H pushed to the moon and got over as top guys with the fans, and he used them well, and his creative was very good for them. And then they went to the main roster and were abused, and then they left. It would not shock me in the slightest to see, once these people's contracts come up with wherever they ended up, Impact or AEW, I think now you're going to see a legit bidding war, because I think people who were done dirty by Vince McMahon, who left and went to Impact or AEW, will be much more open to returning to WWE, knowing full well that the guy that built them in NXT and propelled them to the top and showed them great success is now in charge of the main roster. I don't know so much about Adam Cole, because like he's in good with all those guys over there. But Keith Lee, I wouldn't be shocked to see Bray Wyatt come back. I wouldn't be.
You're not the first one to mention this, and Tony Khan actually headed this off with the pass. He said he was a little amused at some of the reactions. The thing he said is overall it's going to be positive, but he said, hey, we got, and quote, I've got people signed here for 5 years, and people think that's because the CEO, chairman, and those head of creative, that those people have changed in the competition. People have 5-year contracts are going to go magically switch teams. Good luck with that. Cole's signed for 2027. Malachi Black, 5 years on his contract. So, I mean, yes, in theory, if things hold. But, I mean, look, this year alone, in the first, how we talked about it, 2 months ago, maybe? How fucking crazy the news cycle was this first half of this year.
Oh, my God, it was bonkers.
And now we have to add to it Vince McMahon stepping down and Triple H taking over. This has been a crazy, and who knows what's going to happen in 5 fucking months, let alone 5 fucking years. So
I think we're going to I think we're going to look back on 2022 as a real turning point in wrestling.
There are a lot of big name fish out there. Ransom, you mentioned one, Bray Wyatt. I don't know how simpatico he is with Triple H. I don't know that it matters, because I don't think he could be worse than Vince McMahon.
Nope.
Another name that I can tell you is probably absolutely frothing at the bit, Killer Cross.
Grisham.
Sasha Banks.
Braun Strowman.
Ooh, I don't.
Banks and Naomi are interesting cases because, the company did them fucking dirty. When they lost, they buried them on air. And CM Punk talked about that a little bit at Comic-Con. But he mentioned about them being fucking bootlickers and how they fucking trashed Banks and Naomi on their way out, saying that they have disappointed the WWE and the WWE audience, but then make a fucking peep about Lesnar while he was fucking ball babying.
Yep.
Until he came back. And that's a salient point.
Sure,
Sasha and Naomi, who walked out with their fucking principles, versus Brock Lesnar, who walked out because he's a fucking baby Wawa. And again, I'm a huge Brock Lesnar fan, but he threw a fucking diva fit. And
that's not the first time he's done that either.
It's true. But and the company didn't say fucking boo about it. So Gresham is an interesting point, Poot. I think the Triple H would do well with a guy like Gresham. Johnny Gargano, I think he may have seen the writing on the wall, and that's why he was kind of playing it off for a while, and now he, could stand to benefit greatly. Ricochet, in talent, in-house, Ricochet's got to be fuck yes. This is my time.
Oh, dude. Ricochet, and then even Nakamura getting into the twilight of his career.
Yep. And now you have fucking Gunther, as dumb as the fucking name as that is, he is already being pushed like a crazy person. He already looked like a fucking Greek god. What's Triple H going to do with him?
Change his name back to fucking Walter.
And give him back fucking the fucking Imperium song. I can't think of it now, but you know it. But yeah, like there are definitely lots of big fish still out there, and I think that the two that I think are the biggest are probably Killer Cross and Wyatt. I would love to see those two come back, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Sasha and Naomi and them being buried by the company, but when McMahon was in charge, Vince McMahon and the words "the company" were synonymous with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vince McMahon was the company. If you look at Sasha Banks' time in NXT and the women's revolution that started there, I can't imagine like Triple H not wanting to get her back, because I think he was part of one of the big reasons why she was pushed so well in NXT, because he saw her potential. He saw the talent there. And I think Triple H I think he has the humility and a humbleness to him to call her up and say, like, hey, I know what was said. I didn't agree with it. I'm sorry that happened. You know, you have my deepest apologies that happened. It never should have been done. What can I do to make this right? What can I do to bring you home? I don't think Triple H is above that, because I think he knows that talent like Sasha Banks and Naomi will be, again, what's best for business. And honestly, I think if Triple H is the one that calls her, regardless of what was said on air, I think Sasha is smart enough to know, like, okay, again, under Triple H, look how well I was treated. And if I come back, they're going to treat me better because they did me wrong. They did me dirty. And now I'm coming back. Like I'm accepting their apology and I'm coming back. So not only is Triple H going to treat me as well as he did before, he's probably going to treat me better because he's asking me to come back, and I'm forgiving them and saying, yes, I will come back.
That's how you rebuild. Honestly, how you rebuild bridges, man.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, though, like it would not shock me. And let's be honest, if Triple H is going to do what's best for the women's roster, that's going to be what's best, is to bring Sasha back. You know, bring Naomi back. And no, again, sorry, no real slight to Naomi, but I think Sasha's a bigger deal than Naomi.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100% he's going to make a play for her, because I think Sasha has always been Triple H's diamond in the rough.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think she'll recognize that. And I think she knows Triple H well enough to know he wasn't the one that got in the announcer's ear and said, like, hey, you guys say this, you guys bury them on the air, and you write this press release and you bury them in the press release. Like, I think Sasha Banks knows better to know that, like, that's not how he operates. Like,
yeah, but at the end of the day, though, Vince is still the majority shareholder. Regardless, yes, he's no longer in charge. He's no longer the CEO. But, like, if Sasha Banks comes back, she'll be making him money. And that, I think, is where the crux lies. Like, yeah, you may really like Triple H, and yeah, you may really want to main event WrestleMania, but, like, this dude fucking took what should have been an amazing legacy and made it kind of a joke. And kicked dirt on you on your way out. And, now because the winds of change have shifted, you're presented, and yes, she could be the bigger person, absolutely, and go back. But at the end of the day, and the same with Naomi, they would go back and they would still be contributing money to him, regardless of who is in charge, regardless of who is head of creative. Money is still benefiting Vince McMahon.
So at that point, though, they're cutting off their nose to spite their face. That's stupid. I mean, you can justify it however you want, but that's stupid. to be like, well, no, if I go back there, I'm just going to be making Vince McMahon money. So no way in hell.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to charge $4 million for an appearance at fucking Comic-Con. Man. No, that's stupid. If Triple H asks you back and apologizes and you say no because Vince McMahon is still the majority shareholder, you're making a bad decision because you're letting a grudge hold you back from what should be a momentous return and probably a giant step in your career. So if she does do that, shame on her. What a bad choice.
I don't
now think, I'm done.
I don't think that Sasha would do that. Naomi, I don't know why I'm up in the air on. Like, I feel like Sasha is smart enough to see the writing on the wall. And I think Sasha is smart enough to see an opportunity. And especially to do what she loves to do. Where she loves to do it. You know? I mean, I don't see her making that mistake. Naomi, I feel like she would be more apt to go elsewhere. I don't know why, but I just do. I feel like there's a lot of talent, and I know, like, we kind of mentioned this earlier, or we talked about it, but there's a ton of talent that probably had a bad taste in their mouth, but now, because they were treated well by Triple H, they know Triple H is kind of has a lot more stroke now. I think they'd be more apt to come back, and I think in the long run, I think over the next, I'd say year, we're going to see a lot of good, steady improvement in the product. And I think that's just positive. I think that's just good. Like Ransom said, I'm very excited to see what happens.
And I mean, I think we've already seen it. Raw was not a lot of frills. Like, yeah, there was the Rey Mysterio thing, whatever. Like, that's because they had it announced. But, like, there was some solid action wall to wall. I think right now the rosters are jumbled. They're stretched a little thin because of everybody that they've released. So it's tough. But I think the guys that have kind of lost their way, like Ricochet, and I understand that he was just a champion. But like AJ Styles, who where the fuck is AJ Styles? You know, I think you're gonna see them featured more predominantly. And so now, like, we're back to the whole bidding war of 2024 thing with MJF. Like, it started reportedly as a shoot, turned into a work. Now we might be turning it back into a shoot because MJF could be saying, well, fuck, you know, why the hell not? Like, yeah, man, like, Triple H, hell yeah.
Well, especially with them going to a TV 14 rating now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like,
we didn't even get
you know, like, they talked about, Tony Khan mentioned Adam Cole and Malachi Black having big, long contracts, and probably Miro has one too, probably the Hardys. I bet Keith Lee's probably on for a big, long clip. But, like, guys like Daniel Garcia, guys like Wheeler Yuta, who absolutely are the future, I don't know that they were given those big, long contracts. I know that they were snagged before they got to NXT because Triple H and William Regal wanted them in NXT. So, you know, we'll see with them. And I mean, at the end of the day, man, the best quote I've seen on this whole thing has been, "A rising tide benefits all ships." With Triple H taking over creative and the product seemingly getting better, everybody benefits. Because then guys that are on AEW that aren't being used, i.e. Brian Cage, can say, I'm done.
Powerhouse Hobbs even.
Hobbs is kind of being used a little bit more.
A little bit more, but still.
You know, but now, like, where AEW was like the prevailing option, like the new hotness, like they were the cool kid at school suddenly. Now they're in for their money again because Triple H who was running NXT as a pretty fucking good product, now has the money behind him and the fucking like widespread word of Raw and SmackDown. Now, again, big fish, small pond, medium-sized fish, bigger pond. Like, he has more to report to now. He's not going to be able to kind of carry that same weight that he did in NXT. But, I mean, really, like, if WWE starts to sharpen their product, Tony Khan's going to have to work a little bit harder. And, I mean, that's going to be hard to do because this week's Dynamite was fucking spectacular. Last week's Dynamite was pretty damn good. The week before that was pretty damn good. Their pay-per-views are always fucking great. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view was fucking great. So, like, Triple H is going to push Tony Khan to work harder, which is going to in turn push Triple H to work harder ad nauseum. Real quick, my biggest concern is honestly for Triple H's health. Being that he just had a cardiac event earlier this year, I'm worried with him being thrust into this again. I don't want him to try to take on too much too quick because I think absolutely he's got a fucking big brain for the business. And he could absolutely lead WWE back to the promised land. But I don't want him to compromise his own personal health.
So, yeah, a couple things on that. One, on the health thing. That is a big concern and a legit concern. However, I think oftentimes people can tend to dismiss the just how much the mind can affect the body.
Oh yeah.
So while I believe it is a concern that maybe this will put strain on him, I think honestly, and again, this is just me speculating, I don't know shit, but I think what led up to Triple H's event could well have been his spirit being broken by having what he created taken away from him and thrust under the helm of McMahon and Pritchard. I think this could reinvigorate Triple H. This could breathe new life into the man because it's clear he thrived on what he was doing in NXT. He thrived on the NXT creative. Like, just seeing him in the ring introducing NXT, you could see a sense of pride and happiness. Like, he looked happy to be introducing an NXT takeover event. So my hope is that this breathes new life into Triple H, and we see an excitement come back into him, and he's hopefully his health is better than ever now because he's got something to look forward to. So another point is that I get a feeling, and again, dummy, I don't know shit, but I have a feeling that this is going to be not another Monday Night War, but it's going to have that same sort of excitement and that same sort of, I gotta watch both because I don't know what's going to happen. Because like Beef said, it's going to force Triple H wanting to do better on the main roster, wanting the main roster to do better, is going to force Tony Khan to do better. And it's just going to go back and forth. That's going to want to make H do better. It's going to want to make Tony do better. And if both products seemingly improve and get better and the cream's rising to the top, that's when you really will see. And granted, a lot of people do have long-term contracts, but still, one of the most exciting things about the Monday Night War was who's going to jump from WCW to WWE? Who's going to jump from WWE to WCW? You could start to see that again. And it doesn't have to be like back then. It was who's going to win. Now, it doesn't have to be that way, because I don't think that either Tony or Triple H have the mindset of, I'm going to put you out of business, I'm going to be the winner. I think they just want to make their product as best as they can possibly make it. And I think you'll see wrestlers trade off back and forth. And they're not going to do it with hard feelings and negativity like so many wrestlers did whenever they left WWE and went to WCW, or vice versa. Like, they left to make a point. They left to go to the other company to try to be the winner, to try to bury the other company. Look at how many promos happened back then of people going to WCW and burying WWE, and people going from WCW and to WWE and just burying WCW. Like, I don't think that's going to happen now.
Well, if I may, really quick, just to add into your thought process, the odds of a AEW cross WWE Forbidden Door substantially went up.
So that's another thing, that's a very, very, very good point, is that you might not even have to see people jumping from AEW to WWE, because if both of these companies are wanting to do better, and if they want to collaborate with each other to make their products better together, now, like we talked about it before, like we would probably never see it happen with Vince McMahon at the helm. Well, now Triple H is at the helm. So if they could figure out a way to collaborate and work together, you could see an AEW champion compete on a WWE pay-per-view. You could see a WWE champion compete on an AEW pay-per-view. It could become a completely new era, the likes of which we have never seen before. Because since the inception of WWF and then WCW, it was people jumping ship from one to the other. It was never collaboration. It was always us versus them versus us. But now it could be something totally different. You don't have to jump ship anymore. If these two companies can work together to make their products better and to widen the audience for everybody, you could see cross-promotional events. You could see cross-promotional talents. Like, this is some of the most exciting, some of the most optimistic times I think I've ever seen in wrestling. And good Lord, I mean, it's so exciting to think about the possibilities of what if.
Yep. Start the fantasy booking machine now.
I mean, really, if you're going to fantasy book,
oh yeah,
now's the time to do it, because
yeah,
if Triple H can plead the case to the board of why it's a good idea to collaborate as opposed to competition. Like, if you could focus on collaboration instead of competition, I mean, really, the world's your oyster at that point.
Yeah,
imagine like Roman Reigns versus freaking Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
Yep. Roman Reigns versus Wardlow. Fucking.
I mean, it could be amazing.
Finn Balor versus Kenny Omega. Ugh.
I think that there are still some stalwarts that are going to be problematic, and honestly, I think that CM Punk is one of them. I know that CM Punk does not have a high opinion of Triple H at all. And in fact, I just read today a story that Freddie Prinze talked about back when he was the writer on SmackDown, about Triple H walking up to CM Punk. Well, CM Punk just cut this big fucking straight edge promo about the straight edge society. Triple H getting off the fucking private jet with Vince, all fucking lushed up from drinking a bunch of wine and being like, "Oh, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, so what?" Like, and CM Punk couldn't say fucking boo to him because he was the fucking boss's son. So, like, there's still a lot of that, I think. and then on the other side, like I think a guy like Bryan Danielson absolutely valued Vince McMahon, because I don't think that he would have done what he did without Vince McMahon. I don't think Triple H saw in Danielson what Vince saw in Danielson. So I think that there are definitely going to be some battle lines still within. But I agree with everything here, that this is absolutely a positive. For 99.9%, this is absolutely positive. And yeah, you're gonna have some butthurt, some hurt feelings, But I mean, for example, look at fucking Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston has fucking heat with Punk, has fucking heat with Danielson, has fucking heat with Jericho, has fucking heat with Cesaro, Claudio rather, and he fucking makes it work. He still goes out there. People love him. He goes out there and he works with them because it's a fucking business.
And he knows how to separate personal from professional.
Yep.
Yeah, I was because he's a professional. That's why.
Because it's a fucking job, and you can fucking hate somebody with every core of your being, and know that they're a scumbag. But if you're being paid millions of dollars to go out there and fucking pretend to hit them, you're gonna fucking pretend to hit them because you're not a dickhead.
Well, look at look way back when at what happened with
dickhead.
Look at what happened with the real life drama with Edge and Matt Hardy. I mean, legit, like either one of them, like Matt Hardy, if he wanted to, he could have like purposely tried to end Edge's career with all the time that they were working together, but he didn't, because to his credit, he's a professional and he did what he had to do. They took the real life animosity, they took the real life drama, the story was there, and they made it art imitating life, and it worked. I mean, it did well for both of them as far as the creatively for them and everything like that. But like you said, you have guys like that. You're always going to have people in the business. Not everybody's all buddy, and at the end of the day, I think that even if you have some of those holdovers, like you're saying, like the CM Punk or whoever, you don't necessarily have to use them in the cross promotional card. Would it be something cool to see, have a cross promotional thing like CM Punk versus whoever, is a young up and comer in WWE at the time? If they did some sort of cross promotional thing, yeah, but you don't have to use CM Punk. If he doesn't want to do it, you can find somebody else who does, I'm sure. Like you said, Danielson, he left on good terms, and he's one of the he was one of the few people that when we got a lot of the people that left WWE and went to AEW, they were a little bit more on the negative side with their comments and everything like that. And Danielson was like, "Hey,
good reason."
Yeah, and not completely unjustified by any means. They felt wronged for one reason or another. They weren't being used the way they didn't feel like they were being used to their full potential. But Danielson was one that came out right away and said, "Hey, listen, I love this place. I love being here, but it's just time for me to do something different." Jericho was kind of in the same boat too. He wasn't completely negative. Like he's always talked about like how good his relationship was with Vince and everything. But like he said, it was whenever he left, it was his time to move on, because he could either go back to doing the same old gimmick, same old song and dance, and or he could try something new and exciting and take a chance and reinvent himself again, which he is awesome at doing. So I think for the most part, I think you would have more people that would be fairly open to the idea of having these cross promotional things and working with talent that they don't necessarily get to work with on a regular basis. Or, people like, how you've had some people that are, in real life friends, like a Finn Balor, being friends with people that work in AEW, but he hasn't really gotten a chance to, actually work with since his days in New Japan or wherever out on the independent scene. How awesome would that be? Be like, oh man, I haven't seen this guy in forever. Like I haven't been in the ring with them forever. Man, it wouldn't be great to, get out there and work some of our magic again. I think you'd have an overall positive response to stuff like that from the talent themselves, I think.
Yeah. And like Beef said, there will be some holdouts.
Yeah.
There will be some hard feelings. I agree with Beef. I think CM Punk would be a tough. I think convincing him to do a cross promotion thing with WWE would be a tough sell.
Right.
Because he's headstrong, and WWE did do him dirty, and him and Triple H never really did see eye to eye. But things can change. I don't think Triple H or Tony Khan would be the type of people that would force the issue. Like if a talent didn't want to go and do a cross promotional thing, I don't think either one of them would force it, because I think it's going to be a delicate song, and if it happens, it's going to be a delicate song and dance at first until people see that it can work and that it can be successful for everybody involved. I think once you start to see that success and it working well, then I think some of the holdouts would be more open to potentially doing crossovers if they see like, oh, okay, it's really working. It's really working well. These guys have a lot of positive things to say, and there's not a whole lot of negatives. So maybe I do need to give it another shot. Well, I think CM Punk would probably be the biggest holdout of all.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, look at the Forbidden Door event. I mean, I think that was a pretty good example of granted, AEW already kind of had their no pun intended, their foot in the door a little bit with New Japan, as it were, especially with some of the talent that they had or used here and there. But actually putting on that event and really, showcasing some of the New Japan stars and stuff like that. I think there's really, you really have nothing to lose at that point. You only have so much to gain. The sky's the limit with that. You're getting, you're getting exposure to people that don't necessarily, how do I want to say this? You're getting fresh eyes on talent that, had maybe never been seen before. And maybe that's something that eventually, like, say, a talent from wherever does this cross promotional event. Fans really, kind of go ape shit for them or whatever. Or, there's a lot of talk and a lot of scuttlebutt, and Triple H sees something like that and says, well, you know what? I like that kid from X, Y, or Z or whatever, maybe that's somebody that they try to go out and recruit at some point or whatever. It's granted that could go negative if you get into people poaching one another into this and that, but like it's been said before, it's only going to push people. Healthy competition, it's only going to push everybody to kind of work harder. Look at perfect examples. Look at the NXT and AEW, that whole dynamic right there. We kept saying, like, all this is going to do, the fans are the winners in this one, because all we're going to get is, one product putting out something good, and then the other product, okay, how can we match that or do better? And it just, keeps going. And so I really look forward to seeing where the product goes with Triple H at the helm of creative. I'm really excited for it.
I think the cross promotional thing is a little ways away.
Oh yeah, definitely. Not,
I think everybody wants to see it sooner rather than later, but
yeah,
like, I think Triple H is going to bide his time and take his time getting his footing as the head of creative.
Yeah.
So I think we've got some time to marinate on it, because I don't think he's not going to rush into things. Like, he's going to want to solidify Raw and SmackDown and his rosters and solidify their storylines and who they want to go with in the future. Like, I think he's going to plan it out well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, as far as who you would have in creative, You couldn't have anybody more suited for it than Triple H. Of all the other people, that are in the company in the upper echelon or anything like that, I know that back in the day, Stephanie was a writer or whatever. She was also involved with creative or whatever, this and that. I think Triple H is one of the people best suited for this position itself. So. Again, nothing but good things moving forward here. Speaking of good things and moving forward, a beef. I see. We have 2 Stump the Chumps this week.
We do. It's been a minute. We have one from Pat, one from Dave. We wanna try a hazard one here.
Yeah, let's hit Dave's first, since it's been a while since we've had one from him.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Gentlemen, I am returning to grace with you with my esteemed presence and take one of my contractual shots at your Stump the Chump challenge once again.
Wow.
After my small time away, I am invoking one of my required podcast partial appearances just to keep your audience involved while boosting the ratings. Thanks, Dave.
Wow.
Damn,
So
Dave.
before I get
This
to the
fucking
question,
guy.
I want to address the shot fired at me. The mid-card misfit, the Buster, Pat.
Oh,
God.
Or the P3 Gilbert, whatever he goes by this week, decided to throw some
Jeez.
shade in my direction.
Wow.
P3 Gilbert, I'll take that. But I prefer the P3 Brock Lesnar. I would rather be one of those big hosses with the big payout instead of a jobber.
Jeez.
Damn.
Either way, I love just showing up and taking titles or appearances from everyone. Wow, listen to this guy.
Man, Dave's
Fantastic.
really healing it up.
He says, my last question worked that well, so here's another along those lines.
Lord.
According to the WWE, on the WWF/WWE World Heavyweight title lineage, what are the 2 shortest reigns in history? Not
Ooh.
Universal.
Okay. Not
Kane.
Universal.
Kane has to be one of them. He held him for 22 hours or something, right?
Trying to remember.
Good Lord. Oh my God.
Shortest reigns. Isn't Big Show one of them?
Dave
He
is
won
the
it.
best.
Kane won it at a pay-per-view in a triple threat match with Stone Cold and The Undertaker and lost it the next night on Raw.
Okay.
That's the first one that jumps to mind.
He wants the 2 shortest?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I thought Big
Taking
Show.
over it.
For some reason, I thought Big Show was one of them.
Oh man.
I don't know, man.
I could be wrong.
Here's the man. It's just like, because it's been so many things, it's hard to delineate what exactly the WWF/WWE World Title is. Like, is it talking about the big gold title? Because that was called the World Title. I don't think it was ever called the WWF World Title or WWE World Title. I think it was just called the World Title.
Read his question. Read his question again, real quick.
According to the WWE, on the WWF/WWE World Heavyweight Title lineage, what are the 2 shortest reigns in history? In parentheses, not Universal.
Okay,
And he did say, "Good luck, boys."
So not the Universal.
So I'm thinking he's talking about the WWE title, the big one.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
The Hogan belt, the undisputed belt that Lesnar had for a minute,
Right?
like that, all of that eventually just became the fucking logo.
Right. So not big gold belt.
Right.
No.
Okay.
And not Universal.
Correct. Yeah.
So like I said, I'll 100% put money on that Kane's one of them.
Okay.
Unless somebody can think of a shorter WWF/WWE title reign, I know that Kane's for sure is less than 24 hours.
Okay. This is a throwback deep cut, but whenever the whole thing with was it with Hogan and Andre, whenever Andre won the title and then like sold it to the $1 Million Man or whatever, does that count because it got vacated?
Yes, but
yes,
but I don't think it happened all in the span of one show.
Well, no, but
I think that
like he won it and then immediately handed it over to Ted DiBiase.
yeah. So
like immediately.
So
no. Now hold on.
Hold
on. Yes, but hold on. I don't think Ted DiBiase was ever a recognized WWF champion.
No, but the ensuing they vacated it because of all the bullshit chicanery.
Right.
So
but the vacation may not have happened. Immediately.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could still be a short reign though. Like
right.
Like it
could have been
Andre
not, turning over the belt like that night, but then Gorilla Monsoon or who Jack Tunney vacating the belt, a week later. So it may have been like a week.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. A week is still a pretty goddamn short time.
I agree.
Was there... Okay, so that's a possibility. Is there one that I'm thinking of that... Oh! Didn't Mick Foley have it for like 3 days or something like that before he lost it?
That wouldn't be one of the shortest. Wasn't one of the shortest? Wasn't there a Money in the Bank cash in? It was not that all that long ago though. Like, was it?
You're right. Fuck. Who the hell?
Was it? Seth and Dean. Didn't Seth Rollins win the champ? I don't know who he was facing, but he
faced Roman. Yep.
He won, and then Dean Ambrose
and then Dean cashed in.
Yep.
So that would have counted because...
And that was the WWE title, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yep. I almost forgot about that one. Good call.
I think we lost Poot, boys. I think I heard some snoring.
Nah.
He's dead. He'll stop the recording eventually.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good memory on your Ransom.
I'd say those are the two. I think Andre counts because he gave up the belt that night.
But
and whether or not that belt was vacated later on, he still gave it away. Like, he won it, and then like 2 to 3 minutes, he gave it away to Ted DiBiase. Like, he officially forfeited it. So whether or not they recognize Ted DiBiase as the champion, or whether or not like a couple nights later the president or whoever said we're going to vacate the title, wouldn't it have been Andre the Giant officially vacating his title or officially giving it away?
Not well. So I agree with.
But see, here's the thing: like if that was the case, they would have to recognize Ted DiBiase as a champion from X to Y. And not
necessarily. No, because they could just say Andre from at this point, and they could say vacated. They don't have to recognize DiBiase. They could just say Andre to vacated to whoever won it next. But I agree with you on that one, Beef. As far as like
I'm betting the records show Andre winning it, X date, Andre vacating it, a week later or whatever. Because when Kane lost, I remember them saying something about it being one of the shortest reign in history or whatever, and it being a big fucking joke. And like that was like his thing for a while. People made fun of him because he had the shortest WWE title reign. I don't know, man. Like, you could be right. This is super fucking murky. To be honest, I don't look at like the fucking like lineages that often. I don't look at like when belts are won and when they're vacated, things like that. I remember points in history. So you may be right. It's all going to come down to how the WWE is describing it, honestly.
I think think the way that it happened with Andre was whenever what would you say the guy's name? Jack what's his
Tunney.
name? Jack Tunney. I think the way that he wound up like officially ruling it was when Andre handed the belt to Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant officially vacated that title. So they didn't necessarily recognize Ted DiBiase as the champion, but they officially recognized that moment as Andre vacating the title.
It sounds like you know what you're talking about, so I'm gonna believe you.
I think that's the way it happened.
Okay, so here's another.
Don't do it.
No. I thought of another one. I was thinking of since.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but since we were talking about fucky WrestleMania things, WrestleMania 9, Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that was minutes. You're right. That was like 9 minutes and change.
Yep.
But that would have been murky. That still would have been longer though, because Andre won it, and like Ted DiBiase was like in the ring, and he handed it right over. So that was like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins winning it
was less than 5. Yeah.
In there, and that was less than 5. So I think Yokozuna, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, whatever that kerfuffle was, that was very short. Like that's probably like number 3 to 5 in the shortest title reigns. But I don't think it beat out Andre, and I don't think it beat out Seth.
I completely forgot about that shit. WrestleMania 9, which is one of my banner WrestleManias. Good fucking eyes, Tom. Yeah. Then I'm with Ransom. I go with Andre, and Dean Ambrose beating Seth Rollins.
Uh-oh. What happened? What? I'm good with that. I'm just since we were talking about Andre with all that shit, I was thinking, I was like, that it popped in my mind fucked up WrestleMania.
No, you're 100% right. Like, that was definitely shorter than Kane.
I'm willing to bet that like the Yoko one is not far behind Seth and Dean at all. Like I'm gonna say like within a minute of one another for sure. I'd lay money on it. But I'm with you. I'm with you on
because Dean beat Seth pretty quick, right? It wasn't like an actual match. It was like
he squashed him. Absolutely squashed him. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a big fucking like thing. It was like literally 9 minutes between Andre or Yoko winning and Hogan coming out, like that whole fucking thing. So yeah, I'll go with Andre and Seth Rollins there if we all are.
I'm good with that.
Yes. Yeah.
What about Poot agrees? Does Poot agree?
Poot agrees. He texted me and told me he agrees.
Here we go.
Poor Poot.
Well, mid maniac.
Where is Andy? Andy's never here.
I thought we could team up and roll over the P3 boys, but it seems that you have your own. Have you and the corporation become the P3 stooge? It didn't take long for you to jump on the hashtag anyone but Dave bandwagon. I guess I'll continue my lone wolf crusade, wreaking havoc within the P3 universe. Wow, we have our own universe.
Well, jeez, Dave! Holy cow!
Well, boys, did your little collective figure it out? If not, don't feel bad. I know your combined intellect struggles quite a bit, especially if you're led by Beef Lactus, a man who chooses a villain that was defeated by at different times by Dazzler and Roller Skates and then Squirrel Girl. Ouch, my pride. Even if you do manage to defeat me, then kudos to P3 boys. Even Ric Flair can find a paycheck even now. Even Ric Flair can find a paycheck now and then.
Sometime today, Dave. Let's go.
It's all quality though. It's all.
This is the best. Dave is the best heel the P3 has ever seen.
Yeah.
Andre the Giant, the main event, February 5th, 1988, 1 minute 48 seconds. Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank 2016, 2 minutes. Dave.
Fucking Team Salt and Pepper.
My man. You brought all the shade in the world, but you couldn't back it up.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you're just another victim. And you know what you get? You know what you get, Dave?
Oh no.
You don't get our respect. You don't don't get any more time of our podcast. You know what you get? You lose. And you get nothing.
Oh, God, it feels so good.
Do we want to do Pats or do we want to save that?
Well, we could probably save it. We've been prattling on for a minute.
I'm good with that.
All right, that works.
All right.
I'll take it.
Poot,
Take it.
take us home.
Poot
Take
noises.
us home. Poot, take us home.
I think he might be asleep.
Well,
I'll take us home. I'll take us home. Fuck it. Here we
thank
go.
you.
All right.
No,
well,
just end it on Poot. Take us home. Cut the podcast.
we can't stop the recording. We don't have the technology.
We'll tell him to turn it
longest.
off.
It's gonna be the longest recording ever. Poot, take us home. Poot.